Good morning, all of you. Today I'll give you a presentation on how I'll be installing Raspbian OS. Then I'll give you a few applications of Raspbian OS, starting with the program, moving on to a sensor, and then I'll go to an IoT application. So in between, I'll be sharing videos. I cannot share video directly from here. Uh, some icons we aren't very familiar still because this has been purchased just few days back. We are still on the learning process of online courses. So please bear with this. When I'm showing videos alone, I'll go back to the desktop, show the video, come back to the PPT. Okay. Now I'll move on to my section of Raspbian OS. So you know Raspberry Pi is a system. It is a mini computer. But the difference between a mini computer, a Raspberry Pi, and a computer is computer you cannot connect sensors and actuators, right? But a Raspberry Pi you can connect. It has GPIO pins. Via the GPIO pins, you can connect sensors, get data from the sensors, and you can actuate anything, an LED or a step motor or whatever may be. Okay. And another thing, Raspberry Pi is a bare board. So in order to use it as a system, you have to connect it to a keyboard, you have to connect it to a mouse if necessary, if you want a graphical user interface, and you have to connect it to a monitor. So you need certain components to connect it to the Pi because it is a bare board. There is a difference between a system and a Pi. So when you wanted to use it as an application, as an embedded system, the most preferable will be a Pi. But the difference between the Pi and the system is Pi is a bare board, some additional components. And another thing is Pi does not have such high processing speed as that of your processor. And storage capacity is limited to the storage capacity of your SD card. So you want to capture large data, if you want to capture videos, you can use Pi for small embedded applications. Okay. So if you want to capture videos, as I told yesterday, you can send the videos to the cloud because the data storage of your SD card will be less only. We have an 8 GB SD card, and I'll show you at the starting. I'll show you how I'm going to install the image of the Pi on the SD card and how I'm going to set up the Pi, and then I will tell you a few applications. If you have any doubt, you please mention in the chat box. The chat box is in the side panel which I am viewing. So you ask the questions in the chat box, I'll answer you. And the Linux operating system, it runs Linux operating system and hence definitely supports the Pi. So I am going to show you program in Python. So this is the difference between the previous versions of Raspberry Pi Model B, Model B Plus, Raspberry Pi 3. Raspberry Pi 3, we have both Raspberry Pi 3B boards and Pi 3B Plus boards. We have all these boards. So we started with Model B, we moved to Model B Plus, and when Pi 3 came, we bought some Pi 3 boards and Pi 3B, B Plus boards. So what is the difference between the previous versions and Pi 3 board? Because I'm going to show you experiments using Pi 3 board. The first advantage of Pi 3 board, you see the speed, CPU speed, you see the and you see the memory capacity of your SD card. Now your SD RAM, it is 1 GB, and you can this camera interface is present in the earlier versions also, and it was called as an SD card, and now it is called as a micro SD slot because it's become less size. And you see here the greatest advantage of this, not only with the processing speed, you have an inbuilt BLE module and a wireless LAN. So you need not connect an external wireless chip. Wi-Fi chip or a BLE chip is not needed. In this, you would have seen yesterday with an Arduino board, you would have connected a external Wi-Fi chip to transfer data to the cloud, but that is not required here. I show you. I have connected my kit to a Wi-Fi, and I will be transferring data to the cloud. You will use it when I move on to the next sections. So this is the main difference between the previous versions and your Pi 3 board. This is Pi 3B plus board. You see here, what are the components. I have four USB ports, four USB 2 ports, and I have an Ethernet port. You can see arrow that is moving. I have an Ethernet port. It supports previous versions of the Ethernet port for supporting 100 megabits per second. This version supports 300 megabits per second. Okay, I have a camera interface here. I have a audio and a video jack here where I can connect it to the audio video port. I have a HDMI port, high definition medium interface, multimedia interface where I connect it to the monitor. So I use this is a bare board. I use this port to connect to the monitor using a HDMI converter cable, and I use two USB ports, one to connect to the keyboard and another to connect to the mouse. Okay, and you see here these are the GPIO pins which has been taken out from this BCM IC, Broadcom IC. They have taken this GPIO pins. We'll see how we'll use this GPIO pins. Okay, so this GPIO pins will vary from version to version. Okay, that also I'll show you. Okay, I have a small antenna here. It is used for transmitting my waves so that I can connect it to the internet. Okay, so I have and then I have another DSI display port, and I have, see here, a very small USB connector. So I'll connect to the supply through this USB connector. You know, USB, it's supply. Not only you can download. USB is used not only for downloading programs. It can also be used as a supply. So through this USB port, I'm connecting to the supply. So see to that you have a stable supply. Otherwise, your board will get damaged. So this is the my Raspberry Pi board. Okay, I told you about the pins. No, the pins alone you need to be careful. See, you when you are setting up your program, you will set up the mode either as a BCM mode or a board mode. This internal pins, no, these are called board pins. This 1, 2, 3, 4. These are called as board pins. OARD board pins. These pins, no, this orange color, they are BCM pins. These are the GPIO pins of your BCM IC. Whereas these are the board pins, which will vary from version to version is this GPIO pins. When you go from Raspberry B plus, Pi 3 boards, this will vary. You can see, you can Google and see this GPIO pins will vary, whereas this board pins will not vary. So when I set up mode, if I set up the mode as board, my pins will not vary. Whereas if you set up in the program, if you set up it as BCM, the pins will vary and you have to be changing in your program. That is the difference. Okay. Now I'll refer this back and front. We'll see when we go for programming. Okay. Now how will you set up it? So first you have to import the GPIO library. And then you will be setting it either board or you will be setting it as BCM. So I told you if it is BCM, it refers to the middle, which I showed you. And if it is board means those orange color round rectangles, those are BCM. Okay, these are the different type of OS. Most of the OS are available as open source. Raspbian OS we are taking because Raspbian OS is the official OS of the organization. So we'll take Raspbian OS. So this OS, in addition, you have more number of OS. You can use any OS to install your image into the SD card. So first what you have to do is you have to install your Raspbian OS into your SD card. To see another difference, what is the Arduino board you were seeing yesterday? No, did it have an OS? No, it did not have an OS. Whereas Raspberry Pi boards, the most important advantage of Raspberry Pi boards is you can install an OS. That is why it acts as an independent system. Arduino uses Windows, okay, whereas this one uses its own OS. It has its own OS, so you can set it as a real time. So you can use it for real time applications where the response will be very fast. Latency will be less. Okay, that is why this board has become so famous. most of you for image processing applications, many of them are using this board only. The only disadvantage is the SD card capacity will be less. So if you try for video, you cannot say images, no more number of images you use. So that's why they are nowadays what they is they get the video and they upload it to the cloud, and then this Pi they're using it for the input output interfacing. Okay, now we'll see what are the things that are required. So you require a Pi 3 board. It can be a B board or a B plus board. You will require a SD card. We have an SD card of 8 GB. You can go for capacity also. You need a HDMI compatible display and a HDMI cable. You need a good quality supply, otherwise your board will destroyed. Keyboard and mouse you will connect it to the USB port. Then internet connectivity, you can go either for Ethernet or you can go for Wi-Fi. I showed you the Ethernet port. Either you connect it to the Ethernet port or you go for a Wi-Fi. We are going for a Wi-Fi, and you need a card reader. You need a card reader to copy the image into the card. You need card reader where I'll insert the card into the card reader. Okay, so these are the components. This is your HDMI converter. This is your SD card, micro SD card. This is my card reader, and this is the board which I have shown. Just I'll share my video. See, the SD card. Sorry. Hello. Hello. అన్మ్యూట్ అవ్వలేదా? ఓ
மேம் ஹலோ மேம்.
ஹலோ அருண் ராஜா, தெரியுதா அருண் ராஜா?
மேம் வீடியோ வந்துட்டு இல்லைங்க, வீடியோ வரலைங்க மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
இல்லையா?
ஆமாங்க மேம், வீடியோ வரலைங்க மேம், ப்ளே ஆகலைங்க.
ப்ளே ஆகலன்டா. ஹலோ 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 அருண் ராஜா, கேக்குதா?
எஸ் மேம்.
ஹலோ, கேக்குதுங்களா?
எஸ் மேம்.
சரி.
பேசுறது கேக்குதுங்க மேம், பேசுறது கேக்குது.
வீடியோ ஷேர் ஆகும். இப்போ பிபிடி ஷேர் ஆகுதா? பிபிடி ஷேர் ஆகுதா? ஹலோ,
பிபிடி ஷேர் ஆகுதுங்க மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
வீடியோ மட்டும் ஷேர் ஆக மாட்டேங்குதுங்களா?
எஸ் மேம். இப்போ அந்த ராஸ்பெரி போர்டு, எஸ் மேம், அந்த ராஸ்பெரி போர்டு இருக்கு இல்லைங்க மேம், அந்த பிபிடியில் இருக்குங்க மேம். 12th
இல்லைங்க,
ஸ்லைடு
அது
இருக்குங்க.
தெரியுதுங்க, எனக்கே தெரியுதுங்க. வீடியோ ஷேர் ஆக மாட்டேங்குதுங்களா?
ஆமாங்க மேம், வீடியோ ஷேர் ஆக மாட்டேங்குதுங்க மேம், ப்ளே ஆகிறது தெரிய மாட்டேங்குதுங்க மேம்.
ஓ, லாஸ்ட் டைம் ஷேர் ஆச்சு இல்லைங்களா?
எஸ் மேம். ஆமாங்க மேம், லாஸ்ட் டைம் ஷேர் ஆச்சு. இன்னும் ஒரு டைம் ட்ரை பண்ணுறீங்களாங்க மேம்?
சரி, நான் கடைசியில் எல்லாம் முடிச்சுட்டு வரிசையாக வீடியோ காமிச்சிடுங்க.
சரிங்க மேம்.
ஏன்னா ரொம்ப டிஸ்டர்பிங்காக இருக்கு. சரிங்களா? ஓகே.
சரிங்க மேம். சரிங்க ஓகே.
See, I'm sorry, some problem since you aren't very familiar with the software. So I'll show you completely everything and then I'll share my videos. So this is how you write it. So what you do is, first what you do is, so these are my components. Abhinav, video background. So these are my components. So first what you do is you connect your SD card reader, the one which I showed you. You connect it. You put your SD card into the SD card reader. Then you have to format the micro SD, because the SD card, no, it will have unwanted data. What you should do is you should first format the SD card. So when you format the SD card and when you see it, you can get back that 8 GB SD card, the complete space you can get it back. Then what is the next step is you should download the Raspbian OS. It will be in a zip form, so you unzip it. Okay. The next what you do is the latest version of your Raspberry Imager, Win32 disk Imager, you download and you install it. So I have given you the form of GPIO. GPIO refers to general purpose input output pin. Okay. So these are the steps. So what is the first step? First step is you put I showed you an SD card reader. I showed you in this diagram, I have showed you an SD card reader. So this is the SD card reader. You put your SD card inside the SD card reader. Download your, format the SD card to get back the 8 GB total space. Download Raspbian OS. You unzip the Raspbian OS. Download the latest version of your Raspberry Pi Images. Then open your Images. From there, you get a browse window. In the browse window, you go, select your Raspberry OS, write the image in the SD card, remove the SD card from the SD card reader and insert the SD card into your Raspberry Pi and power up Raspberry Pi. So these are the steps. Okay, right? I'll show you the video after I finish my presentation. Is it audible? Am I audible? Is it clear? Am I audible? One of you reply in the chat box. Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am. Audible, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
okay. So this is another video of how I installed it. My video is not playing. Some problem. I'll check it out and show you. Okay. Now you have put your Raspberry microcard inside your Raspberry Pi. So now you have to set up the Pi. So the first thing in setting up the Pi is you connect your HDMI cable to your display, your mouse and keyboard to the USB port, plug in the power cable, turn on the Pi. The Pi will start booting. It will take a few minutes. You will get the welcome screen. You know you have seen the Raspberry Pi screen. So after that it will ask for your country. So default you will be choosing English. Make sure that you choose English. After that it will ask for a password. The default password will be Raspberry. So if you want to change the password, you can change the password. Then it will ask for updation. Again it will take a few seconds depending on your network speed. Again it will ask whether your Wi-Fi or Ethernet. So we connected it to Wi-Fi. Then you update your Raspberry Pi. Once you have finished it, the setup will be done. You can now program it. So I'll repeat it. So what you have to do is, you have to connect once you insert the SD card into Pi, you connect your display, you connect your mouse, you connect your keyboard, then you do booting. It will take a few minutes for booting. It will ask for which language you prefer. You choose English. Then you update your Raspberry OS after selecting the password. The default password, so you leave it off, update the OS. Then once it is finished, setup will be over. So this is the setup process, which again it is a video. Okay, now we'll go to the programs. Just 1 minute, no. I just leave the meeting and come so that I check whether my video is playing. Okay, 2 minutes. You bear with me before I go to the program.
Ma'am, now playing, ma'am.
Hello, Arunja.
Yes, ma'am. Now we are playing, ma'am. Play ஆகுதுங்க மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
Play ஆகி முடிச்சிருச்சா?
ப்ளே ஆகி முடிஞ்சிருச்சுங்க மேம். எஸ் மேம்.
Okay. So now you saw how the SD card will be inserted into your SD card reader. Now I'll show you the next video. Video. You see here, this is the next video which I am showing. See, E drive is your SD card. You see, there is no amount of free space. There is no free space. Okay. So now you see how I am going to format the card. So you give format, the SD card will start formatting. See, the space is being freed. Now it is 7.5 GB something. See here, it is now 7.2 GB. Now what I am going to do is, I am unzipping the image, Raspberry image, being unzipped. It will take some time, so I will pause the video. So the image has been unzipped. Now we will start writing the image. So open the Imager, Win32 Imager, open it, browse it. In the desktop you have the Raspbian OS. So browse. You have the Raspbian Buster. Open it. So you see here it shows as an E drive. The card. Write it. So you start writing. So it again take some time. So I am passing. So it will take definitely few minutes. I am passing the window. So it asks for format disk. You give a answer. Write is successful. It shows write successful. Now you can exit. Remove your SD card. So I have removed my SD card. I am inserting into the Raspberry Pi. So just insert it into the Raspberry Pi. Abhinav? Vinaya? Great. Tipi log రా lapni. Udah dini posta. Hah? Dini log పోలేదు. దీనికి కూర్చోలే ఇన్స్టాల్ చేయాలి అలాగా அடுத்த வீடியோ ப்ளீஸ்
అది తని ఫస్ట్ ప్లే చేసే కానిచ్చేయాలి அடுத்த வீடியோ ప్లే చేయాలా ஒரு நிமிஷம் உண்டு கேன்சல் தான் மினிமைசிங்
Now you see the setup of your Pi. What you are seeing is the setup of your Pi. So welcome to Raspberry Pi Top. See, you see down, I have connected the USB mouse and the USB keyboard. ఊరుమా అరుణ్ వచ్చావా అయ్యో అయ్యో అరుణ్ హలో hello, you see I have selected the country, the language, India I have selected. You select the language. I'll pause it. The password is Raspberry. Just click on. It will ask for setup screen. You select your Wi-Fi network. We have already selected a Wi-Fi network, so we went on. You update your software. So now you will have welcome to Raspberry Pi desktop. Now you can start programming. So I'll close the videos. So I have come back. Installation is over. Setup is over. Now we'll programming. Arun Raja, தெரிஞ்சதுங்களா வீடியோ? Hello?
Yes ma'am,
Hello?
தெரிஞ்சது ma'am. Yes ma'am.
ஓகேங்க. Was the video visible, all of you participants? If you answer only, I can know. Otherwise, it looks. Was it clear? The video? Was the video clear? Yes, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now then tell me how to install and set up the Raspberry Pi. I showed you along with the video, right? So one of you tell me how to install and set up the Raspberry Pi. It looks very funny when I am alone talking and my colleagues alone are replying, yes ma'am, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. None of you participate. Already it's a big confusion for me for showing in the video, and only if you understand I can move on to the programming. Yes or no? So one of you unmute yourself and tell me how to install the Raspberry Pi and set up the Raspberry Pi, which I have told you both in the PPT as well as I have showed you the video. The video was clear? Was the video clear? Hello? Was the video clear? Was it clear? You at least chat. Was the video clear? No? Was it clear or not, the video? Arun Raja?
Yes ma'am, clear only ma'am. Video is clear only ma'am.
ஒருத்தரை சொல்லுங்க பண்ணேன்னு. Okay, sir. Jnana Pandi, Shanmugh Priya, somebody tell me how do you unmute yourself and you tell me how to install and how to write and install it. One of you please, at least one line. You will not? Okay, I'll go to the program. Okay, so I'll import the RPI libraries. Then I will set as a board. Why I'm set as a board means it will be easy for me to identify the pins. So I set it as a board. You can set it as a BCM also. GPI BCM.BCM also you can set it as. I set it as a board because it will be easy for me. See here, the 11th pin I have set it as an input pin and the 8th pin I have set it as an output pin. Is this clear for you? See here, 11th pin I have set it as an input pin and the 8th pin I have set it as an output pin. Okay, right? So, and why have I set it up as a pull down pin and a pull up pin? Why means I'll show in the next slide. See, input pin I set it as an not only as an input pin, I have given a second argument here telling where I am pulling it up or I am pulling it down to a high voltage. If I pull up, I'll be pulling it up to 5 volts. If I pull down, I'll be pulling it up to ground. Okay, and the 8th pin I put it as an output pin. You see here, this is the way the GPIO pins will be there. GPIO will have internal pull-up resistance like this, right? So this internal pull-up resistance, either you can connect it to ground or you can connect it to 5 volts. So externally you need not connect it. By software itself you can configure it. The software can be used to configure this pin to 5 volts or this pin can be moved to ground. Okay. So what I have done here is, in this program I have pulled it to high volts. So the 11th pin as of now is connected to 5 volts. Remember that 11th pin is connected to 5 volts. In this 11th pin only I have to connect a switch. So 11th pin will be connected to 5 volts. I pulled it up. I don't pull a GPIO pin either to 5 volts or if I don't pull it down to ground, what will happen is any external disturbance, even a handshake will disturb the pin. The electromagnetic interference will disturb the pin. So either you pull it to high volt or you pull it to ground. Then 8th pin I am setting it as an output pin. The 8th pin I am not leaving it as open-ended, you see. The 8th pin is grounded, you see. Okay, we'll go to the next part of the program. So this is the, so what I am doing is, this is an loop. If this is an infinite loop, okay, right? When you press the keyboard, you'll see if you give, it will come out of the loop. Until then, it will be going on in this loop. To program and see, you connect a Raspberry Pi to a switch and an LED, and you can program and see. So what happens is, the 11th pin, which I have pushed it to 5 volts, if the 11th pin is grounded, I am sending 1 to the 8th pin, else I am sending 0 to the 8th pin. Then I am coming out and cleaning up all the GPIO pins. Now what I will show you is a switch. So these are the components needed. I need a pi, I need a button, I need an LED, I need a resistor, I need a breadboard, I need connecting wires, and I need a power supply. So this is my switch. See, even though I have 4 leads, only 2 leads will be used. This will be connected internally and this will be connected internally. So this I connect it to 5 volts and this I connect it to ground. You see how we are going to connect it. So if I connect this to and this to ground, so when I close the switch, this pin will be grounded. You will see how it comes out in the diagram. See here how I connected the push button switch. The push button switch is connected to GPIO 23 pin. The other end of the push button is connected to ground. If I push the button, the 23rd pin will be grounded. If the 23rd pin is grounded, this LED, what will happen? You tell me the program. We saw the program now. Why I put a 23 and a 24 pin is, here I mentioned as board pins. 23 and 24 is mentioned as board. 7 and 8. So you come here to this diagram. You come to this diagram. See, 23rd pin is the 11th pin. In this diagram, the 23rd board pin is GPIO 11th pin. Okay? The 24 board pin is GPIO 8th pin. So 23rd board pin is GPIO 11th pin. 24th board pin is GPIO 8th pin. That is why in this program, I have mentioned it as, this is 23rd pin, this is 24th pin. That is why in the circuit diagram, this is connected to a switch and this is connected to LED. So if this pin is normally, I have made it as 2 volts. So when I press the switch, this pin will go to ground. Okay. So when it goes to ground, LED will be, you see here what I have put the program. So when this goes to ground, I make a statement that 8th pin should be 1. So if 8th pin is 1, so 24 is the 8th pin. Physical pin is 8th pin. So you connect it to the anode of the LED. So 1 will go to the anode of the LED. The other part of the LED is connected to ground through a current emitting resistance. Otherwise LED will go off. So the LED will glow. Understand? So if I press the switch, LED will go. I leave the switch, LED will be off. So this is one simple program of a switch. Okay, now I'll connect I show the video at the end. So now I connect a sensor. So the sensor is a PIR sensor, which I have connected it like this. PIR sensor will have 3 leads. One lead will voltage, another lead will have ground, another will be the output. So the output I will be connecting to the 23rd pin, which I have shown to the 11th pin, the board 11th pin. So whenever a person is moving in front of this PIR sensor, it will tell you that a person is detected. We'll see the program. So again, I have imported the library. I am setting the mode as board pin. Again, the 11th pin, the 23rd pin I am using. I am pulling it to ground. See there I pulled it to 5 volts. You see here I am pulling it to ground. So if something is detected, automatically if it is, this will become 1. The pin will become 1. So if the pin is 1, what do we print? Object crossed. Then you give a delay, you press Ctrl C, you come out. So this is the second program. Okay, the third program is an IoT application. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send the temperature of the board, the Raspberry Pi board, into a TeamSpeak cloud. Okay, right? So this is, I'm importing the GPIO library, I'm importing the delay library, and Adafruit DHT. Adafruit DHT is a library which will get the temperature and the humidity from the DHT11 sensors. Adafruit is only for DHT11 sensors. DHT series of sensors. I am using DHT11. It is only for DHT series of sensors. Okay. In the board also you have a temperature sensor. So I am using the temperature sensor which is present on the board. On the Raspberry Pi board you have a DHT sensor. You can use that sensor, find out the temperature of your board CPU. That I have a BCM CPU now. You can find out the temperature of that CPU. Okay, so I am using this library. Once if I import that library, I can use a function of that library and get the temperature and the humidity of the CPU. Okay, the environment. Okay, now of the CPU. Then URL library is used to get the URL, because I have to transfer this data which I am getting into the cloud. I import a URL library. URL library 2 will support up to Python 3.4. So you can use either Python 2 or Python 3. Up to 3.4 this will support. Okay, so this is a function. Okay, in this function, what have you defined in this function? This is main function. This is a sub function. Okay, so in this function you're getting the humidity and the temperature. You're using this library, Adafruit DHT library, which will work for DHT11 sensors. This the output of the sensor is the 23rd pin, GPIO pin. So you give it this Adafruit library. See here, I have not declared the pin as either an input pin, output pin, because all that will be declared in the library itself. You call the library, get humidity and the sensor, return the humidity and the sensor in a string format. Then you call the main function, go to the main function where I have defined the main function. See here, when I am running it, or till now I have not told how to run a library, right? A program. So how to run a program is sudo python. The name of the program, it should be a .py extension. Like how .c extension, the name of the program should be a .py extension. So you give the command as sudo python, the name of the program .py, and this key, yesterday Iseki sir would have told you how to generate the key from ThingSpeak library. So what you do is, first you go and sign up with the ThingSpeak. You create a channel for your data. There will be 2 channels, 2 or 3 channels. You create a channel for your data, and you get the API key of that channel, and you put the API key as the second argument. This is your first argument. This is your second argument. So when you have to give 2 arguments for this. Normal programs, it will be just 1 argument, sudo python, the name of your program. Here you have to give a second argument, and then you type this in your screen. Okay, right? When you type it, automatically what will the program do is, the program will check whether you have at least 2 arguments. If you have 2 arguments, it will execute your program. Else, it will exit and come out. So when you have your second argument. So second argument is the URL of your ThingSpeak cloud, the key of your ThingSpeak cloud. Then that will be your base URL. So base URL will be your API key, which you have taken as the second argument when you type for executing your program. That will be your base URL. Okay, you get your base URL, and then you get your sensor data by calling this function. What is this function? This function is what you are declared here, where you call your Adafruit library, got your temperature and humidity. So what you do, you call that function temperature and humidity, which you have to pass it through a file handler to the base URL, which you have got it as the second argument. Then you type your Python program. So once you get the base URL, lib is a Python function which will pass the data to a base URL which you have mentioned here. So the temperature and the humidity will be passed as a file handler. You read the file handler, the data will be displayed in the ThingSpeak cloud. So you close the program, you close the file handler, you go delay, exit and come back. So this is your program for displaying temperature and humidity of the CPU, the board CPU in a ThingSpeak cloud. Okay. The second program, you can use an external DHT11 sensor also, where one is ground, another is 5 volt, this potentiometer for varying the temperature, and then which you connect it to the 16 pin of the board. So that will be your board pin, corresponding GPIO pin, you have to get it. Okay, so again this is the same program. So you check whether the argument is less than 2. If it is less than 2, you exit your program. Otherwise, you come, get the second argument. The argument will be like 0th argument and first argument. 0th argument will be your program. The first argument will be your channel, ThingSpeak channel API key. So give it to the base URL, get the temperature and humidity, pass it as the argument of this URL lib2 function, get the file handler, read the file handler, it will be displayed in your cloud. Come out and this is your program. So this Adafruit library, you have to install it. So you update and this is how you run your program. Sudo python, this is the name of the file. I have connected an external temperature and humidity sensor, and this is your write API key, which can get it once you create an account in your ThingSpeak cloud. ThingSpeak cloud, it is very easy. You get an account, go inside, you generate a channel, automatically the key will be generated. Get the key and put it here. So Adafruit library, you have to install the Adafruit library, and URL lib2 also you have to install. Okay. So I'll show you how I am connected to the ThingSpeak. Any doubt you have? Yes, sir. We'll share the video. We'll finally share everything, PPT and videos. I'll show the videos now. Okay. How I'll show videos for two things. I've showed the video for installation, and I'll show you I have showed the video for setup. Now I'll show you the video for 3 experiments. One experiment is your switch, another experiment is your sensor, and another experiment is your IoT cloud. Okay. The order may change because the videos I have not the videos thinking I can open it as a hyperlink, but now the problem is I cannot open it as a hyperlink. So I'll show you the videos in some order. See here, this is your the switch program. See, this is our program for the switch. You see here, here, you see the difference. I changed the pins. There I used the 11th pin and the 8th pin. Here I am using the 7th pin and the 12th pin. Okay, you see the difference. You note the difference. I am using the 7th pin. You can change the pins. And another difference you have noted down is I put it as a down pin. That is 7th pin I have connected to ground. So now what I should do is I should pull it to high. So accordingly you can change the circuits. You can connect the switch either to the supply or you can connect it to ground. So you can configure it either as pull up pin or you can configure it as a pull down pin. So depends on, you can change the circuit, you can change the GPIO pins, you can change the program, whatever you want you can do. So I am connecting, I am typing it as sudo desktop, changing the desktop, and connecting, I am running the program as sudo Python, the name of the program. See, now I am giving the name of the program. I am as a py extension, .py extension. So I am named it as a switch. So I am writing it as switch.py. See here, see my connections. You see the switch and the LED. So once I press the switch, the LED will be on. Very simple program. So once I press the switch, the LED will be on. So one part of the switch you connected either to, if you can see here, 4 leads will be there, but only 2 leads will be useful. One lead you can connect it to the GPIO pin. The other lead you can connect it to VCC or ground. If you connect the other end of the pin to VCC, you have the input pin as a, you connect it to ground. Okay. If you connect the switch, other end of the switch to ground, you connect the pin to VCC. That is all. That is the difference. If you have any doubt, you ask me. I'll clear it. This is the GPIO diagram which I showed you. So you choose the GPIO pins and accordingly you choose either the board mode or the BCM mode. Okay, now we'll see the next one where I have moved it to the ThingSpeak Cloud. So this is my CPU temperature which I measured, that program. So type the program. Now I'm moving into the ThingSpeak Cloud. So we have created an account. So I'll give the password and I'll move into it. So I moved into it. You see your channel. You select your channel. I got the API key. So once I get the API key, once you create a channel, key will be generated. So once you get the API key, you can start executing your program. So you see here sudo python. You change it to desktop. So sudo python. You see I am writing the program name and then I am giving the second as the key. Now. Share save now. So I am repeating it. This is my program. So I am entering the program. Once I know the API key. So we found out the API key. See here, it is displaying on the screen, you see the temperature and the humidity. You get the fix the channel. You see, so this is how your temperature and humidity will be printed on your ThingSpeak Cloud. Okay, thank you. You have any doubt? Otherwise, we'll go next session on CC3200. Mr. Bharanidharan from the Department of CSE will be handling the session. Thank you. Any doubts? You have any doubts? Okay, I'll leave the session. Sir will be taking over the session. Arun Raja sir. Hello. 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 Hello.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
சார் நான் அருண் பர்னி சார் வந்துட்டார் நினைக்கிறேன். ஈசி தான்.
எஸ் மேம் வந்துட்டாருங்க மேம். எஸ் மேம் சேஞ்ச் பண்ணி விட்டுட்டுங்க.
நீங்க சேஞ்ச் பண்ணி விட்டுருங்க.
எஸ் மேம்.
Good morning to all. I am faculty of Computer Science and Engineering Department of Sri Ramakrishna Engineering College. I would like to share simple experiments on Internet of Things by using a development board called CC3200. Hope I am audible and my screen is visible to everyone. Am I audible and my screen is visible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So here So we are going to show a simple demonstration on Internet of Things with the board CC3200. It is actually a product of Texas Instruments TI, and it is specific. It is having a lot of sensors available by default in it, and it is also having an important component, module called Wi-Fi module inbuilt with that. So we are going to use that inbuilt Wi-Fi module as a communication between the board, the development board CC3200 with the external world by using internet. So how to make such kind of connectivity from board to an embedded system to an external world www, web applications, that can be done by means of different strategies. So the connection actually happening by means of JSON based data format. So we are going to use or utilize the property of JavaScript. JSON means JavaScript object notation. It is a simple file. It looks like a database. If you represent a database in terms of a text file, then you can say or assume that the particular file looks like JSON file, JavaScript object notation file. Maybe I can show some examples. Yeah, look here. This is like a JSON file format. It will be having a key and value pair, and also key and value pair. Here the key is name, whose value is John. Key is age, value is 31. Key is city, and the value is New York. Likewise, we can have several key and value pairs enclosed within curly brace. This is what the JavaScript object notation is specifying, and this is the major convention. One of the major convention or the data format used in the recent scenario for sharing the or sending and receiving the, say for example, sensor data from and to the internet. So we are going to use this famous format, JSON format, in order to transfer the sensor data from the CC3200 board via Wi-Fi to the freely available online web applications, which is dedicated for visualizing the sensor data in terms of a chart as well as gauge and so on. So we are going to use explore two platforms, online platform. One is called Dweet.io. Note it down. It is called Dweet.io. Online web IO. So we are going to use one is called Dweet.io. The another one is preboard.io. So where the Dweet.io is used to receive information. So it is simply receiving the information from our sensor data from CC3200 and convert that into .json format. This is what the job done by this online website, a platform called Dweet.io. It's like a Twitter. It will tweet Tweet means it simply converts the received sensor information like temperature, humidity, motion, and so on, and convert that into a JSON format. If you convert that into JSON format, that can be visualized as a chart and so on, um, or gauge based display. I can show the example on how to establish those connectivity step by step. So the first purpose is, the first website usage is Dweet.io is used to receive the sensor data from CC300 or any other embedded application via Wi-Fi and convert that into a JSON format. And this, the another platform called Freeboard.io, it is accepting .json file, then convert that into then it is used for visualization. So it is mainly used for visualization, freeboard.io. So for that, we need to have a separate login for the login. Actually, it is open, freely available. You can create it by using your own email ID. I have created that. So you can create a login with the freeboard.io. Then it is not necessary to create any login for Dweet.io, but we need to have one more operation to be done with Dweet.io. It is called creation of thing. Keep in mind, creation of thing, because as you know, Internet of Things means it is actually a collection of or a combination of a cluster of different electronical components put together, and each and every electronic component must be in connection with either Wi-Fi or wired connection. Then whenever you make a establishment of communication between all the things or all the objects or any electronic devices or boards and so on, sensors and so on, then each and every components which is going to be the part of the internet IoT must be identifiable. So thing means each and every part must be identifiable. It is used for simply identification. It is simply used for identification, nothing other than that. Then like we will be assigning some kind of IP addresses to a LAN or WAN based network, right? In terms of computer networks, likewise, each and every component or a device which is part of the Internet of Things application is going to be identifiable. That is why we as a developer, in order to establish a communication from our development board like CC3200 to Dweet.io, first of all we need to create a thing in a unique thing called unique thing name in the particular Dweet.io. Then we have to use this unique name in our microcontroller programming connectivity program for establishing the communication from our board to, the embedded board to the Dweet.io. This is the way that we need to establishing the communication between the board and the Dweet.io services. Let us look into one by one. So now I am going to share a simple code in Energia. So here I am going to use a software called Energia. So I have already downloaded. It is in my software location. Look here. You can go through. If you go to the Google, search for Energia website. So Energia software download, automatically you will be getting. Yeah, you can download this Energia IDE. Look at this. It has a support for CC3200 also. So I have downloaded that, and after that we need to extract this file, and you will be getting the extracted file like this. Over here, so we have an exe file called Energia. If you double click on that, you'll be getting, you will be opened with this kind of application, obviously. And whenever you open any application or a IDE, it's a fresh one, then you will be opened with a simple sketch with some default name corresponding to the date and the month. It will be having two functions called setup and loop, like our Arduino programming. It is actually, this software, Energia software, is actually one of the derivative software of Arduino IDE, nothing other than that. It is derived from Arduino IDE. So obviously it must have a two functionality, setup and loop. So some of the initialization process, like initializing the serial port and establishing the communication from our board to our Wi-Fi communication, that can be done in this setup part. And after that, the reading of the sensor content, that must be done in a repeated manner, so that those content must be placed in the loop of the program. So this loop function must have the statements or the instructions to be executed lively, and that must be infinitely running. And those set of codes must be placed in the void loop statements, and the initialization parameters must be placed in the setup functions. So I have already done with some simple experiment. Now I am going to go through that one by one. Yeah, here, look at this. We are going to use library we need to include a library functions, library headers, especially serial peripheral interface communication, and Wi-Fi module Wi-Fi.h, and Wi-Fi client.h, and we are going to use the board called CC3000 along with the sensor called DHT11 sensor. That is why I have downloaded the DHT11 header file, and along with the C++ file also. This is the DHT.cpp source code, and this is the header file. So both of the files are available here. So these are all referred as libraries. That is why I have included that by using double quotes. And Wi-Fi client. So first we need to create a Wi-Fi client by using the Wi-Fi client object. So this is the Wi-Fi client class. For the class, we have created a client object, and through this client only we are going to invoke communication to the bit.io like this. And I will be going through one by one, step by step. These are all the initialization process to be done outside this, because these are all variables. Yeah. Next is, as you know, this board. For example, yeah, this is the board we are going to use. This is a launch pad. It is inbuilt with it is having inbuilt Wi-Fi module CC3000, and this is the board. This is the processor CC3000 Texas processor, and this is the Wi-Fi module drivers, and we are having this much number of pins over there. So 64 number of pins are there. Requesting you to go through the data sheet for further clarification. So I'm not going to elaborate in that, but anyway, I am focusing on the program and how to establish the communication and so on. Yes. So here in this board, I have connected a DHT11 sensor. In my example demonstration, I am going to use a 3-pin DHT11 sensor, where 2 of the pins are corresponding to the ground and VCC, and the middle pin is used for sending the input and the sensor value to the board. I have connected this with the pin number 2, pin number 2 in my board. At this location, I have connected. In this pin, I have connected the sensor input. And the remaining ground and VCC are over here. Ground and VCC pins are here in this location. Ground and VCC pins are there. I have established a 3-pin connection. That's all about the connectivity part. Then after power, after giving the power supply to this board, then come back to this IDE. So what I have to insist over here is, The launchpad name is CC3200 launchpad, TA launchpad. CC3200 Texas Instrument. Yeah, first step after declaring a set of client variable, then what we need to do is we need to have a set of credential information to be maintained. What is the credential information? Anyway, as you know, this board, whenever you give power supply to this board, automatically this board will be enabled with the default Wi-Fi module in it. So actually what we need to do is we need to have a separate Wi-Fi connectivity for internet. That Wi-Fi modem, that Wi-Fi router has to be synced with this module of the Wi-Fi module of the board. Getting my point? I can do this. Connection establishment is so we need to connect Wi-Fi module with our mobile hotspot, because our mobile hotspot is already in connection with the internet. So why we need to do this? Because if already the board is having Wi-Fi module. So if you switch on the particular, if you give the power supply to the CC3200 board, automatically Wi-Fi module will be enabled, and it is searching for some kind of external Wi-Fi hotspot and so on, Wi-Fi signal. And if you provide such kind of credential information like this, means here I'm using the SSID as Bharani, because my mobile, my Wi-Fi network is Bharani, and my Wi-Fi network's password is this one. I have used this. So I have given the credential information in this program. And if you compile this program successfully, and if you upload this program into the CC3200 board, then automatically this credential information will be referred by the inbuilt Wi-Fi module. So the credential which we have shared for related to mobile hotspot or the Wi-Fi will be shared with the Wi-Fi module of the CC3200 board. Then automatically our CC3200 board will be getting connection via Wi-Fi with the outside world through our hotspot. This is what the scenario. For that we have to use SSID. We need to declare SSID along with the password. Then, yeah, what is the purpose of this code? The purpose of this code is first to establish a communication between CC3200. The sensor data must be fetched from CC3200 board, and that must be passed to dweet.io. That is what the first step. So there we need to declare a pointer called a server underscore name. This is a simple character pointer that is initialized to the site name, I mean the website name. The website name here is dweet.io. As I mentioned already, this is called dweet.io. Dweet.io is mentioned over here. So www.dweet.io is specified, and we need to define a thing name. As I mentioned in the discussion, what we need to do in dweet.io means we need to create a unique thing name or an object name that must be always unique. Keep in mind the thing name must be always unique. We have to create through the website called dweet.io. I can show that. Go to the browser, click on dweet.io. After that, search, navigate through the menu called play. It is taking time. If you navigate through this, yeah, it is loading. Fine. Here, look here. Dweets in the it is having different menus over here: logs, dweets, storage, and alerts, and so on. Among that, we are going to use the open mechanism called dweets. Dweets means create or read dweets in short-term cache. So it will be maintaining the it will create a tweet or it will read the tweets from the short-term memory location of our browser. If you load this program, I can explain all the instructions one by one, no issues. But anyway, I will be saying that I am giving the outline of the entire program. We are going to first declare with the hotspot, mobile hotspot details, credential. After that, declare the server name and declare a thing name. Now we are in need of declaring the thing name. Yes. Here, go to get option. Get means retrieve. If you click on get, it will be expanded with this kind of options. There, one of the required parameter is called thing. Here I have to specify a thing name. I have given the thing name, already I have given the thing name in my program as first_00_tweet_src. So this is the, don't think that it is a lengthy name, but anyway, for the sake of simplicity and for the sake of uniqueness, I have given this name, because no one in this world should not use this kind of thing name in any part of the world in under this website. That is why I made like this. And also keep in mind, if I use this unique thing name in Dwi.io, automatically no one can use the same thing name for accessing their details or the sensor information. They cannot use those informations. It is actually a unique name. Either you can create a new one by using adding a character 1 or character 2 and so on like that. Make the thing name as unique, because most of the real world application related to Internet of Things for the testing purpose, they are using this Dwi.io and Freeboard.io for their testing purposes. Whether the sensor data is received properly or not, those things are actually tested with a different thing name. That is why the major criteria for the usage of Dwi.io is you need to create a unique thing name like this. This is a unique thing name. And you need to create through the program itself, because in this program only I have created this. I am passing this. If this is a unique name, automatically that will be accepted by, and if it is a new name, it will be accepted by the Dwi.io. Otherwise, it will be rejected. The request will be rejected by the Dwi.io. Like our Gmail account creation. If you want to create a Gmail account with some name called Ramachandran, automatically Ramachandran. If you want to create a new login for account for Ramachandran, then you give the username as Ramachandran. Automatically, the Google Gmail service will respond to you that already we are having this email ID username. So can you create with some other name like Ramachandran 120, Ramachandran 50? Likewise, it will be suggesting. Likewise, our username, like the username or Gmail username is unique in this world, this thing name must also be unique. Yeah, so there is a question from Mohammed Yasin that how many launch pads are available for IoT? If we the one of the launch pad provided by and designed and given by the Texas Instrument is CC300 via along with Wi-Fi module, and we do have several products, STM products and so on that they can specify. Maybe you can go through the website for different kind of launch pad. Means it is very simple that the board, embedded board, the microcontroller board embedded with incorporated with Wi-Fi module along with some set of sensors, and it can have basic SDK, software development kit for it. That is, if any embedded application or any embedded hardware is having these criteria, then automatically you can say that product as a launch pad. Nothing other than that. Shall I continue? Am I making sense up to this? Is my discussion is clear to everyone? Please respond through chat window. Is my discussion is clear to everyone?
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Benny, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Clear only, sir.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, what we need to do is through the program. Participants, can you mute? through this unique thing name, we can establish this CC3200 board can establish the communication to the dweet.io websites via our Wi-Fi. Yeah, within the setup function. Within the setup function, what I have done is we have simply this is the serial communication. Serial.begin function is used with this baud rate. After that, it is for the sake of debugging, I am specifying that it is attempting to connect to the network named SSID. So up to this, what is happening now? The board is trying to establish, the CC3200 board is going to establish serial communication with this baud rate, to our mobile hotspot. My mobile hotspot details are here. So with this SSID and password, it is trying to establish the communication. That is what, so it is specified over here. So serial.println SSID, and if you call this function, automatically the Wi-Fi module inbuilt with CC3200 launchpad is trying to establish Wi-Fi communication between the Wi-Fi module of CC3200 with my mobile hotspot. That's all. That's why Wi-Fi.begin with the credential information of the Wi-Fi hotspot is shared over here. We call this, automatically it will be returned with the status. If Wi-Fi.status is connected one, then automatically is not connected. If it is not connected, automatically we will be waiting for 30 milliseconds. Then we will be further proceeding, because we need to wait for establishing the communication between Wi-Fi hotspot with the Wi-Fi module of the board. If the establishment of connection is over, automatically this particular while loop will be broken, then automatically come out of the execution, out of this while loop. After that, we will be simply displaying in the serial monitor that we have connected to the network, and there is a reply for the IP address. Then after establishment of the communication between Wi-Fi module of the board with the Wi-Fi hotspot, automatically what will happen means, through our internet service provider, our mobile hotspot will provide an IP address to this board. So a separate IP address will be assigned to our board Wi-Fi module. And this is also similar to it. It is waiting for reply, waiting for the IP address to be assigned. If it is address is assigned, it will be coming out, because here equating. If it is none, if no other address is assigned, then automatically we will be waiting in the loop. So if some address is assigned, automatically it will be coming out of the loop. So this is what the establishment of the setup initialization under the function called setup. Then after that, what we need to do is, we need to do reading the sensor information from the DHT by using the DHT header file, because already we have included DHT header file. Here is the DHT header file is there. It is having a set of functions called read raw data, read float data, convert temperature, convert humidity, and so on. So I'm going to use this function read float data, and this function's definition is over here. Look at this, read float data is the function which is going to accept these 4 parameters. One is the pin in which we have connected the signal, and the temperature, humidity, and finally whether are you going to use DHT11 or DHT22 sensor. Since I am going to use DHT11 sensor, so this parameter must be false in my category. So look at this program in the setup. So DHT colon, because this is a class, so we need to call the particular static functional. This function is called by using this object. 10. In the 10th pin, I have connected my input signal, and temperature and humidity are captured, because already I have declared as a float variable. And the last parameter, as you know, we are going to use DHT11 instead of DHT22. That is why this parameter is set as false. If you are going to use DHT22 sensor, then automatically this parameter must be set to true. Then after reading this, if the return value of the function is 0, then automatically a set of parameters, the sensor value will be retrieved. Otherwise, there is a problem in the sensor connectivity. So if it returns 0, if this function returns 0, automatically we will be displaying the serial monitor. That the temperature is this one, humidity is this one, this parameter. And after that, what we are going to do is we need to pass this information, I mean the sensor information, humidity and temperature to the dwit.io to the dwit.io website for the particular our thing called first 00 dwit SRC. These are all the information we need to pass as an initial step to the dwit.io from CC3200. That is what I am going to say. Yeah, here within this if structure, what I am going to do is client dot connect. So what is meant by client? Client already we have declared it is Wi-Fi client. So our board is now Wi-Fi client. So client dot connect of server name. Already what is the server name? Server name is this. Server name is dwit.io. For this server name, for this website, it is establishing or trying to connect to the particular server on the port number 80 port. 80 means HTTP connection, normal HTTP connection. If it returns true, automatically these set of parameters are passed as information to dwit.io services. Now let us come back to this dwit.io page where, look at this, there is a format, prescribed format corresponding to this dwit.io services, website services like this /get/latest/dwit/for/thing. This is the way in which we need to pass a information, sensor information to this dwit.io. That is why we need to have a structure called get some latest dwit for and followed by things. The same syntactical structure is used over here. Look at this. So it is sending the request, likewise forwarding the package, the command called get followed by /dwit for thing name, /dwit/for thing name. Thing name means first 00 dwit SRC. Yes, after passing this thing name, what we need to do is followed by question mark, temperature must be passed. Followed by question mark, we need to pass the temperature, and then followed by ampersand, you need to pass the further informations followed by ampersand. Since this is going to be the first parameter to be passed from the board to dwit.io, that must be prefixed by question mark. The further parameters like humidity, if I want to send some motion information, those parameters, the further parameter, second parameter onwards, must be prefixed with ampersand symbol. Keep in mind, the first parameter must be prefixed by question mark, the remaining parameters must be prefixed by ampersand symbol. So each and every temperature, humidity can be passed, where the host is dwit.io. After that, we are simply going to close the connection. Then this is the process of establishing. The highlighted code is for establishing the communication from the Wi-Fi client, I mean our board CC3200 to the website called dwit.io. And what is the next scenario? After that, our board is waiting for reply from dwit.io to the CC3200. So it is a reply from the dwit.io to CC3200. This code is a request from sending a request from CC3200 via Wi-Fi to dwit.io. We are sending a dwit for a particular thing with the parameter temperature and humidity. And after that, what is happening in the website is dwit.io. As you know, dwit.io will receive the information and convert that into JavaScript object notation, JSON file. Then the JSON file information is again shared as a response to back to CC3200. That is why we need to read the information from the dwit.io. That is what happening over here. Look at this, reading the answer. Client.connected. If it is connected, what will happen? It is an infinite one. It is an infinite one. Whenever there is a connection is there, it is an infinite one. If client is connected, after that we need to check whether is there any information is available or not. That is available or not. If the information is available, obviously by using the same client object, read the content. Whatever we are going to read over here is actually a JSON content of the temperature and humidity, and that will be stored character by character, and it will be stored and that will be printed in the serial monitor. So this is what happening in the read. This is a response. This code is actually a response from the dwit.io as a JSON file back to the CC3200 board, and that will be displayed in the serial monitor. Then finally, what we need to do is we need to stop the connection, client connection, and close the connection. That's all. This is what happening. So again, I'm repeating. So there are, first step is, as you know, the CC3200 board is having a Wi-Fi module inbuilt in it. We need to establish Wi-Fi communication between the board's Wi-Fi module along with our internet. From where we can have an internet, either I can have institutional Wi-Fi communication, or maybe my home Wi-Fi communication, or I can use simply my mobile hotspot. Here I am going to use my mobile hotspot. My mobile hotspot name is this and password is this. So after establishing, so this setup part is to establish the communication between mobile hotspot with the board's Wi-Fi module. After that, an IP will be assigned from my mobile hotspot to the CC3200 board. After getting the IP address, then automatically we are going to do the loop operation that read the sensor information, temperature and humidity via DHT11 sensor, and display that content and pass that content to the server name called Dweet.io services via the port 80. And while sending the information, you need to follow this protocol or the standards that get space /dweet/for followed by a thing name. The thing name we have specified is this one. It must be unique throughout this world. If you use any duplicate thing name, automatically your request will be sent, but you will never get any response from here. And here in this code, we are passing the information, temperature as well as humidity information to the as a request to Dweet.io services through Wi-Fi from CC3200 board. After that, we need to wait. I mean, the CC3200 board must wait for the return reply from response from the Dweet.io, and the return reply is in the form of JSON, and that can be displayed in the serial monitor. This is the first stage of establishing. So this is the only first stage. As you know, after that, what we are going to do is as that Dweet.io has created JSON format, then by using the JSON format from the Dweet.io services, we can visualize those information, temperature and sensor in the freeboard.io website. That we can do step by step. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to first, I have connected my board with this system. Now I'm going to compile this code. Yeah, it is compiled. And meanwhile, I want to show you one thing. Go to the tools menu. Look at that board which is connected. It is CC3200 board. We have connected. CC3200 board launchpad is connected, and it is connected in communication port COM7. So we need to before uploading the code from this Energia IDE to the CC3200 board, you need to verify these options, whether this board, the proper connected board is selected or not, whether the particular board is connected with the corresponding port or not. This must be checked before uploading the code. Now it is fine. Now I am going to click on this upload button for uploading the code. Yeah, it is uploaded. So the download operation, uploading operation is done. A binary file is uploaded in this CC3200 board. So after that, I have to go to tools menu, click on serial monitor. Yeah, look here. This is the initial setup. HTTP connection is established to the 200 reply. And after that, a request is sent. This is the request. Sorry, this is the request, right? This is sending the request, and this is for reading the answer. While reading the answer, look at this. The information written from replied from Dweet.io to CC3200 is looking like this. So looking like this. I said Dweet. Looking like this. I said Dweet. Thing name is this one. Temperature is this, and so on. Right? I am having a temperature as 29, 29, and humidity as 28, and so on. We are having. So this is what I am passing. Temperature currently 29 and humidity is 28. Yeah, let us check is there any connectivity between CC32002 thing is happening or not. So I'm going to choose the same thing. Now I'm going to click on try it out. If I click on try it out, automatically I will be getting the request of, yeah, this is what the request sent from CC320 2928. Parallelly we can check with, just a minute. Yeah, this is actually a response, request from, I can again refresh this. Yeah, if I refresh this, 2928 is there. Let us check the responses. Yeah, it is still 20. Now it has become 29 and 29. Now wait. Now let us wait this. If you tweet this latest one, yeah, now it becomes 2928. Maybe I can. Now I am actually enclosed the DHT11 sensor with my hand. Let us look into the change is happening. Whether there is any increase or decrease in the parameter or not. Now it is 29 and 29. Yeah, now it is 30 and 32. Yeah, let us check into the wait page whether we can receive the updated information or not. Let us check this. Close this. Let us check for the new updates. Yes. So go to serial monitor. Let us check into it. Yeah, temperature. Yeah, now it is temperature and it is 34 and 30 something. Let's look into that. Yeah, look at this. There is an update 3034 because I have made a mistake in the program that so instead of prefixing the question mark to the temperature, I suffixed that. That is why there is a problem in the connectivity. Yeah, now it is fine, working fine. Look at the serial monitor. Now it is 2932. Now I am going to wait now. I need to have 29 something and so on. Yeah, 29. Earlier it was 3033. Now it is something like that. 29, 32, and so on happening. Yeah, 29, 32 is here. So likewise, we can check out this. Okay, look into the latest one. Yeah, 2932. Check. Yeah, it is. Yeah, 2931 is now. Yeah, likewise, it is updating, right? So, as a conclusion, our board CC3200 has passed the information as a request to dwit.io, and the dwit.io is getting the information properly, and it is converting that into a JSON format. This is the JSON format, and this JSON format is replied back to board. This is what actually displayed over here. This is the JSON format. And after that, what we need to do is we need to go to freeboard.io website, where we need to accept this JSON file and make into a visualized environment. Now let us do that. Go to the freeboard.io. It is already initialized. Now it is showing 2932 because already I have created this for demonstration. It is showing 2931. Now let us check the serial number 2931. Now I am holding my hand around the DHT11 sensor, so there will be definitely increase in temperature as well as humidity. Let us check. It is some 2930. Let us look into the gauge also. If you look at the topmost right corner, the time of update will be there. For each and every second, it will be updated. From where it will be updating, this freeboard.io is updating the sensor information from dwit.io page. Those things, yeah, now it is 3033. Look into that. Yeah, 3039. Let us check into this one. Yeah, 3031, 39. The current update is happening this page, right? Now, now I'm going to remove this and I'm going to start from the scratch. So click on this delete, press yes, and click on this option delete and press yes. Now what I have to do is you need to first I can log out from this. Yeah, I am going to sign out this. Yeah, first. So open a browser and there click on freeboard.io, then automatically this page will be displayed, and click on login. And I have already registered with my user mail ID, and I'm going to type my password. After that, click on sign in. Yeah, here I have already done with some test one. Now I'm going to create a new. In the rightmost corner, there is an option called create new. Type something, test 2. Click create new one. It will be creating this empty dashboard. First step is we need to create or add the data source. Click on the add, then choose this list box. From where this freeboard.io is going to fetch the information as JSON file from dwit.io page. So I have to choose dwit.io services over here. and I have to give the some name, sensor details. Then I have to specify the thing name. What is the thing name I have specified in our program? In our program, we have specified the thing name as first underscore 00 underscore tweet underscore SRC. That is what we need to copy that and paste over here. Then we have not specified any key, and click on save. Now it is done. The sensor details are done. Then after that, what we need to do is, now it is updating. The sensor detail is connected. It is updating from 12.6. Now after that, we need to create a dashboard. For that, you need to add pan. Click on add pan. There, click on plus. Here, go to this list box and click on gauge. There, type. I am going to fetch two parameters. One is temperature and another one is humidity. The title is temperature. Value is fetched from the data source. Click on data source. It is a sensor data. Look at that. If the establishment of the connection is fine, then automatically this freeboard.io is fetching the temperature as well as humidity information from the JSON format of tweet.io. That is why we are getting this list box. Sensor units temperature is Celsius. Save. After the creation, automatically it will be updated with the information of the temperature. Now it is 29. Now I'm going to add one more pan for visualizing humidity. Click on plus, do the same process. Go to gauge, type humidity, click on data source. There I am going to click on sensor details. Now I am going to choose humidity instead of temperature. Temperature we have already done. I am going to specify the unit as some H. Click on save. Once it is created, automatically your dashboard will be showing the gauges where the live updates will be happening. So with this, I am going to complete my simple demonstration on CC3200 via Wi-Fi establishment with the two online websites called freeboard.io and tweet.io services. Hope it is meaningful and useful to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Varni sir.
Thanks, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. It was nice. Participants, you will get a quiz form and a feedback form. You please complete the quiz and the feedback form. Any improvement, you please specify in the feedback form. Now, if the quiz and the feedback form will be put in the chat box. And thank you, participants, for the 2 days. And thanks, Barney sir.
Ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Arun Raja sir. Hello, Arun Raja